Hey there, and welcome back to painting Luke, where we're just going to finish him up. First of all, going to introduce sand tones to his hair using a thin wash of paint. It will be paint, but thinned down quite a lot. And also introduce skin tones to his left hand and his face. Again, this is going to be done in wash tones because I want to be able to see all the greens and everything shining through. Here we have the flesh tones introduced, then as you can see they're done thinly enough to, and the hair tone as well, sorry, but they're done thinly enough to allow some of the colours from underneath, so you get that sense of the saber glow on the face already, having only just applied one thin layer of tone. So next up I'm going to run highlights through the hair, run highlights through the flesh. And this will just be a standard kind of affair. I used dark flesh from the Game Colour range of layer paint for doing the flesh tone, and I used heavy brown for the hair tone. And you can see you also get that sort of fade as it comes round and back into the foreground. So I'm going to mix in some pale flesh from the model colour range with some of the dark flesh, heavy skin tones, sorry, and lighten it up a bit and kind of bring in a little bit of highlight to the flesh, and then I'll darken up his lips a bit by mixing a touch of red in with the same heavy skin tone, and with the hair I'll probably use a heavy golden brown or plague brown, and just run highlights through all the light parts of the hair. And this will be as a forerunner to final highlights, which again will reintroduce green. So I'm going to get all the skin and flesh up, and then I'll be moving on to the clothing. Here we go then, just dropped in the light tones. It's heavy golden brown in the hair, a mixture of pale flesh with a heavy skin tone. For the highlights on the flesh, again putting quite thin, eyes have been put in, use magic blue for the irises because Mark Hamill does have blue eyes, I checked, wanted to make sure that it was right. So this kind of concludes the necessary flesh toning, if you like. So now I'm just going to reintroduce another tier of highlights to the whole miniature. So I'm going to run grey highlights, just using the cold grey again, move a touch of white in it to lighten it up ever so slightly more, but keeping them super thin, super wispy, and I'll run those all the way into the blues. I won't use blue again, but I will use a very pale green to reintroduce the green highlights everywhere as well, including back onto the face, the hand and the hair. Here we go then. I've actually finished Jedi Luke. Got a little bit carried away, so as stated, cold grey, touch of white, highlights throughout all the black, and running over the blue. So you can still see hints of blue coming through. But essentially you've got kind of grey coming and hitting into the green, so you then have a high contrast between the grey on the green, which helps to bring out the green because the blue acts as a transition, but you also have the sort of added interest to the black, because painting black is hard. People could easily think, oh, you just paint black and it's black, but no, you have to do a whole load of highlighting, you need to tone it, you need colour ranges, much like with white. White's very hard to paint as well. The two hardest colours ironically are probably the two colours which on paper should be easiest. Now I went a little bit OTT here, so in the face here, first of all there is an under highlight of Dead Man's Flesh. You can see a little bit in the hair around the edges where I haven't greened in over the top. That was used on the flesh, so around the hand, around the face, keeping it to the front of the cheek line, coming back and then sort of cutting a square and doing the jawline, doing the nose in, the philtrum, which is the bit between your nose and the top lip, also the chin. on both sides of the face, as well as just touching it around the hairline, so you've got the highlights sort of coming back, radiating away from his face. And then use lime green to initially highlight all of these edges where the grey and the green meet. So I'm just going to try and... So you've got the lime green running all the way down and around. I also introduced the lime green onto the arms, the hands, and the saber. No, I didn't touch the saber with that. So then after that, all these final little highlights, which are both over the lime green and over the dead man's flesh. The dead man's flesh was used on the skin. A little bit of lime very thinly was introduced just to the top of the hand here because of the proximity to saber and the other region of green highlight. And then the final highlight was a mixture of jade green and white, so I brought that up quite light. I've applied it to the saber, I've applied it all over the face, all over the highlights here. And these are just little touches, just trying to like touch in the tips. Like there's a shimmer across here, there's a shimmer down the arm. It's kind of to make it look like the area of light is around here, emanating from the saber. Then finally there was a 1 part green ink, 1 part water, maybe even thinner ink applied over the saber itself, the saber hilt. This white green was also applied on the saber hilt, where you see the very light little touches down the saber hilt. And the green ink was applied over the front of his face but not the cheeks, so if you can see that the side of his face there is a line here where it changes. So you've got the green on the front of the face but not around the sides of the face, so it could be that he's actually not in a dark room, so it's not like the fight with Vader, the one in which he loses his hand actually, or it's not like on the Death Star. It's before he gets to the Death Star too, and it's in a sort of a lit environment, if you like, but it's dull enough that the glow from the saber is still clearly visible on him. And then that ink was the final part of the lighting effect. So I hope this will be some interest use to you, and any lighting stuff you're doing is coming out really well. Useful tip is don't think of it as a miniature, think of it as an illustration. There are techniques and methods in illustration for generating light effects. And so it's a case of looking at a way of looking at the miniature in order to do this. And this is what I'm thinking about a lot more, because I've just been looking at Golden Demon Slayer sword winners. And one of the things which was very apparent to me is their miniatures don't look like miniatures, they look like illustrations. And so I've been thinking a lot more about the kind of techniques which will lead you to that illustrative quality, and hence all this work on sort of lighting effects and such forth, because that's ultimately what leads away from painting a miniature and into painting a scene, or a miniature as a scene. So I hope this is a cool mini or not. You decide. Thank you for watching, have a good one and take care. Bye bye.